The day Justice wore no badge. Bryce Dalton turned off the main road, the hum of his old Ford F-150 fading into the gravel that marked the path home. Afternoon sunlight spilled across the dusty windshield, and inside the cab, the scent of aged leather mixed with something sweeter cherry gum. A pink piece stuck near the vent reminded him of Ellie, his wife, who was now 8 months pregnant. It was her favorite. A soft smile touched his lips. Everything felt steady. Safe. The tires crunched to a stop in front of their modest farmhouse. On the porch, Ellie sat with one hand resting over her round belly and the other trying to keep their German shepherd, Scout, from leaping off the steps toward a tilted Amazon box by the door. She looked tired but calm, her eyes shaded beneath strands of wind-tousled hair. Still managing everything like she always did. "I'm just going inside real quick," Bryce called out as he swung the door shut, grabbing his phone. "And tell the delivery guy, if he leaves another box out in this heat, I'm mailing it back myself." Ellie rolled her eyes and smiled. Scout growled low again. That's when it started. 2 steps onto the walkway, and a voice sliced through the air. "Hey, who are you?" Not a neighbor. Not a friendly tone. Sharp. Aggressive. Bryce spun just in time to see a dented blue Crown Victoria screech to a stop at the curb. No license plates. A single blinking yellow light stuck on top, like a toy. 2 men jumped out. Uniforms, if you could call them that. No patches. No names. No shields. One carried a baton wrapped in duct tape. The other had a Velcro patch that read, HOA enforcement. Bryce's stomach dropped. The wiry one pointed toward the porch. "Get that dog inside. You're violating the neighborhood noise ordinance." Ellie stood, instinctively shielding her belly. Scout snarled, hackles raised. Bryce stepped between them. "Who the hell are you?" The men didn't answer. The one with the baton didn't wait. He lunged forward and grabbed Ellie's arm. She screamed. A sickening crack followed. Her knees buckled. She dropped, gasping, her good hand gripping her stomach. Her face was twisted in pain and disbelief. Scout howled. Time fractured. For a moment, Bryce didn't move. Couldn't. Everything around him, the porch, the sunlight, Ellie's sobs blurred. But her scream had happened. Her pain was real. This wasn't about noise, or leash laws, or any HOA regulation. This was violence. And it had happened to his wife. His unborn child. On the porch of the home he built with his own 2 hands. His hand went to his back pocket, pulling out his phone. Camera on. He aimed it, heart pounding. The baton swung. It hit his wrist. The phone flew, vanishing into the hedges. "Try that again and you're under arrest," the baton-wielding man snapped. Violation of Section 38, unauthorized recording of an HOA officer. Section 38B didn't exist. It was nonsense. But the man spoke with conviction, like if he barked loud enough, it would become law. Ellie was crumpled on the steps, tears streaming down her face. Her belly trembled, baby boy still kicking, sensing her agony. Bryce clenched his fists. His voice came out low, gravelly. "You don't touch my wife." The taller one stepped in, grabbing Bryce's collar. "You failed to submit your lawn treatment form," he hissed. "And there's no record of mailbox replacement approval." Bryce blinked. "What? You're out of compliance. That gives us authority to act." Compliance. Authority. Lawn treatments. While his wife lay in pain and his dog growled in fury. This wasn't just these 2. It was the HOA. The same HOA that had hounded them for mailbox size, for how they parked their truck, for grass being 2 inches too high. Letters. Threats. Fines. Fear. And now this. His rage wasn't hot. It was ice cold. The tall one opened the trunk of the Crown Vic. Zip ties. A cracked toy radio. No microphones. No real comms. Just props. They thought fear was enough. But they made a fatal mistake. The baton carrier approached, slow, cocky. "You are under arrest for non-compliance and disrespect." He motioned for Bryce to kneel. Bryce didn't. He slowly lifted his hands, not in surrender but calculation. "You broke her arm," he said. "She's pregnant. You don't even care who we are, do you?" The man smirked. That was it. Bryce's hand slid into his jacket. Glock 19. Steel and truth. He hadn't carried it for this. It was for travel. Remote roads. But today, it was justice. The pistol emerged. Calm. Controlled. For the first time, the imposters flinched. Bryce didn't want revenge. He wanted them to know they had no power here. He pulled Ellie behind him. The first shot split the sky. A warning. The second dropped the Baton-Wieldery's thigh, giving way as he cried out. The third struck the other's shoulder. Plastic badge spinning in the sun. No more barking fake laws. Just screaming. Panic. Scout lunged, sinking teeth into a leg. The man howled. Bryce stayed steady. Each squeeze of the trigger was discipline, not fury. A line drawn in lead. The magazine emptied with a final metallic click. Bryce stepped forward. The men writhed, babbling fake codes. Code 97 Alpha, one whimpered. There was no alpha. No backup. Just consequences. Bryce's voice was flat. My wife is pregnant. And you'll never hurt anyone again. Sirens rose in the distance. Ellie was sprawled on the grass, clutching her belly. Bryce ripped a t-shirt from the truck bed, tying a tourniquet. She was pale, but her eyes blazed not with fear, but resolve. Tell them the truth, she rasped. Don't hide. He nodded. But he knew. He'd tell only what mattered. Scout barked once, low and final, as real officers arrived. This time, real uniforms. Real badges. Weapons raised. Drop the weapon. Face down. Hands where we can see them. Bryce complied. Slow. Controlled. The Glock clinked onto gravel. Hands up. Calm. He met their eyes. They're not officers. No warrants. No badges. They attacked my wife. An officer rushed to Ellie. Her arm dangled limp. The tourniquet already soaked through. Another officer handcuffed Bryce. Standard procedure. She's pregnant, Bryce snapped. They crushed her arm. What was I supposed to do? Watch. The officers hesitated. Then radio crackled. Unit 3 confirmation. Those two men aren't HOA affiliated. One is wanted in Douglas County. The other tied to extortion in Montgomery. The cuffs came off. Mr. Dalton, the officer said, voice lower now. We're sorry. We didn't know. Bryce didn't respond. He dropped to Ellie's side, brushing her hair back, taking her hand. Her grip was faint, but it was there. I just wanted to protect my family, he said. And I'd do it again. 3 weeks later, Bryce stood in court. He wasn't the accused. He was the witness. The two imposters now wore jumpsuits and shackles. No duct tape batons. No authority. Their lawyer argued they were volunteers. Confused. Trying to help. But the evidence said otherwise. Doorbell cam footage. Audio of Ellie's scream. The crunch of bone. The radio babble. The fake codes. The hospital report confirmed it. Broken arm, stress on the baby, bruises shaped like fingerprints. The prosecutor carved through the lies. Assault, battery, impersonation, trespassing. When the judge finally spoke, her voice was precise. Guilty. All charges. Bryce didn't cheer. He didn't smile. He just reached for Ellie's hand. Her other hand rested on her stomach. Their son was due any day. 2 months later, Joshua Dalton was born. The world was quiet under a blanket of snow. Scout lay sleeping by the fire. Ellie, wrapped in wool, sipped cocoa, laughter returning to her voice. Bryce stood at the window, cradling Joshua. The baby slept peacefully, unaware of the world he'd entered. Bryce held him close. Not out of fear, but awe. He hadn't become what he fought against. He hadn't let rage rule him. He'd stood. He'd protected. With clarity. He looked down at his son, kissed his tiny forehead, and whispered, "Never let uniforms define what's right. Truth lives in action, not costumes." Justice had arrived that day, not in court, but here, in this home, in this peace, in the arms of a man who refused to kneel. And that, always, is where the real power lives.